Several different types of assessments. So to create an assessment, you press this Create Assessment button, and then there's kind of four categories of assessments. I'm just going to click on the general ones. These are assessments that aren't based on any government or department standards. So you see there's a regular general one, and over here to the side there's a question mark. If I press this, it'll show an example of what this general assessment is like. So I'm going to press over here, and you can see basically there's all the students' names, or at least the students who you chose for this assessment, followed by a score, a value, a rating. And again, you can have, lots of times I just have ratings and I don't use the value or the score, or sometimes I have a score and don't put a rating. There's a place for evidence, to collect evidence of students' work, and then comments. So let's look at the next type, a general list. Here it's really, there's a choice of having a kind of a collection of things that you might be marking or assessing. And so it could be all in one assessment, so data collection, create a graph, and interpreting data. This is all on bar graphs. Or it could be, sometimes I do it where I might be collecting homework, and so tracking homework, whether it's completed or not, and this might be over like, a month or 2 months. So maybe this is week 1, week 2, week 3, and whether they finished the homework or not, and that sort of thing. Or it could be spelling. Some people do track spelling results over time. So this is the list form of that. And again, it has the options for score and value and rating and evidence and a comment as well. So let's get out of the general ones, and let's take another look at this and look at the standards or outcomes. So here, this is one standard, an assessment based on one standard. Now again, I'm going to go over to this question mark just to see an example. And this looks very similar to the general assessment we looked at a few minutes ago, except you'll see up here there is a standard associated with this particular assessment. And so this score or this rating, whatever you've chosen, or both, will indicate how that student has done on this particular date with that standard. And you can track and look at how they've done with each standard, or all the standards in another view. It's when you can compile all these assessments. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to look at one standard and indicators. So this would be, again, just one standard, but then there's indicators for that standard, and how they're doing a rating for kind of how they did on each of these indicators for that one particular standard, and then an overall rating kind of on how they did on that standard. Then there's multiple standards, tracking more than one standard. So you'll see there's no standard at the top, but there's standards here. And again, there can be a rating, a value, and a score, or just one, or just ratings or just scores. This can be cross-curricular too. This one here, it's just really all light standards or outcomes. But on you could be a math in here with science and language arts. So you really can track multiple standards cross-curricular on one assessment. And let's close out of the standards. And let's go and take a look at the reading assessments. Now there's two types. There's a quick reading, and I'll show an example of that. The quick reading is really when there's not enough time to do a full reading record. Sometimes you want to just move students along a little more quickly, especially in the younger grades. You don't have time necessarily to sit and listen to every student to move them up to the next level, because they have to move so quickly. Sometimes you need to just sit down and listen to them for a few minutes, and then just kind of give a general rating yourself, what you think how they did on accuracy, how they did on fluency and comprehension, and then an overall rating. It's more like a little quick read with them. But then there's also the full reading, which you can do a full reading record, which will track detailed information about accuracy, fluency, and comprehension. It does all the calculations for the number of errors and miscues and the self-corrects and all that sort of thing. And it also has a detailed list of strategies used in accuracy, fluency, and comprehension. And all these strategies you can edit and just make your own. So this is a list right now, but you can change these by just clicking these little pencils and edit this to whatever you want as a whatever strategy you want to track. So that's all the reading record. Let's close these out. So the reading assessments are done. And the last set are rubrics and continuums. You can create your own rubrics and create your own continuums in K6 Ninja, and then they really get attached to an assessment, and they get marked right on the assessment. So right now, if I click this, it'll say there aren't any rubrics or continuums created yet, so I have to create them first. I'm just going to cancel that for now. So those are the different types of assessments that you can do with this. In the future, there will also be, I'll just press this again, another button down here that will be like additional assessments, and there'll be kind of ones that have added afterwards, and they might be more specific assessments, as in maybe certain standardized type testing assessments.